Mia pressed her forehead against the cool glass of the living room window and watched the children across the street. They laughed as their fathers lifted them high in the air, swinging them back and forth until the world seemed to spin with joy. Mia felt a tight knot in her chest. She wanted that kind of happiness for her mother, Rosa, more than anything. Yet, every evening after school, she returned to the same small apartment where the only father she knew was the one whose absence left a silent ache in their home. Rosa worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices during the day and waiting tables at a nearby cafe in the evenings. She never complained. In the mornings, she woke before dawn, bundled against the chill, and left the apartment with a quick kiss on Mia's forehead. By the time Rosa returned late at night, exhaustion lined her. Face still, she always paused in the doorway to ask, "How was your day, sweetheart?" Then she would gather Mia in her arms, whispering that everything would be all right. Mother's Day was coming soon. And Mia watched her classmates chat excitedly about plans with their dads. She heard stories of breakfast in bed and handmade cards signed "Love, Dad." At school, children painted pictures of themselves, holding hands with their fathers under bright suns, or wrote poems that rhymed the word dad with glad. Everywhere Mia looked, fathers were at the center of the celebration. Meanwhile, she sat at her desk, head down, repeating the same names over and over: absent, gone, unknown. She kept her secret hidden. Only her mother knew how much Mia missed having a father. Rosa had never spoken of him, only said that he was someone from long ago who had made choices she could not accept. She spoke no bitterness, only a quiet sadness that rippled through her gentle voice. Mia understood that her mother protected her from pain, but still, Mia wondered what it would feel like to have a father's arms around her family on Mother's Day. One afternoon, Mia sat at the kitchen table, rubbing her pencil against the notebook. She stared at the empty page where she wanted to write a plan. The walls of the apartment seemed to shrink around her. The old clock ticked loudly. The single lamp by the table cast long shadows. Her pencil snapped under pressure. Mia closed her eyes and imagined a different life for a moment. A bright hall where her mother sat at a long table, smiling as her father, tall and kind, sat beside her, handing her flowers and telling her how grateful he was. The image lifted Mia's spirits, but then the shadows returned. She opened her eyes to the same chipped tabletop. She wrote a title at the top of the page, Mother's Day Wish. Under it, she jotted a single line: "Find someone to pretend to be Dad." Her heart raced. She knew it was crazy, but the more she thought about it, the more she believed it might work. She remembered reading about John Anderson, the billionaire, who had donated computers to the community center and funded scholarships for kids who could not afford college. He lived in a glass mansion on the hill above town, and while few people ever saw him, everyone knew his name. Rumor had it that he granted special visits to those who needed a miracle.
Oh, maybe he would help her.
Maybe, just this once, he could give Rosa the day she deserved. That night, after dinner, Mia found her mother sitting on the living room sofa, sipping peppermint tea. Rosa always saved stories of her day until Mia asked. "Mama, do you ever wish you had a father for me?" Rosa paused, then set her cup down. She looked at Mia with calm eyes. "I wish for many things," she said softly. "I wish for things I cannot have." She reached out and smoothed Mia's hair. "But I have you, and that is more than I ever hoped for." Mia nodded, but her mind would not let it rest. She stayed awake that night, turning the idea over and over. The next morning, during her lunch break at the cafe, Rosa found Mia scribbling in her notebook. "What are you writing, honey?" Rosa asked. Mia hesitated, then pushed the paper forward. In messy handwriting, she had drawn a picture of her mother smiling, wearing a flowery dress, and standing next to an outline of a tall man in a suit. Underneath, she had written, "Please, Mr. Anderson, be my dad on Mother's Day." Eyes widened. She knelt beside Mia and read the page. A tear rolled down her cheek, braced herself for anger or disappointment. Instead, Rosa hugged her. "You have such a big heart," she whispered. "You want to give me happiness?" Rosa kissed the top of Mia's head. "If you truly believe this will help, then I support you." Encouraged, Mia spent the next days researching John Anderson's foundation. She learned its name was the Anderson Family Trust, and that it had an office on Elm Street. One afternoon after school, she gathered her courage and marched to the small brick building. Inside, a receptionist sat behind a polished oak desk. Mia's palms were sweaty. She handed over a neatly folded letter she had written in her best handwriting. In it, she explained how her mother worked so hard, how she never asked for anything, and how this one small wish would mean the world. She signed the letter with Hope, Mia Rivera. The receptionist took the letter and smiled kindly at Mia. "We'll let Mr. Anderson know you came," she said. Mia nodded and left, her heart both heavy and light. She did not know when or if she would hear back, but she felt she had done everything she could. At home that evening, Mia and Rosa sat at the dinner table, eating simple pasta. Mia's hands trembled as she stirred her food. Rosa reached across and held her hand. "No matter what happens," she said, "I am proud of you." Mia swallowed and nodded, unsure if her courage would be enough. Days passed with no response. On the third day, Mia opened the mailbox and found only bills and junk mail. She sank onto the steps of the porch. Neighbors walked by without a glance. Doubt slithered into Mia's mind. Maybe they had thrown the letter away. Maybe billionaires did not care about little girls' wishes. Tears welled in her eyes. She stood, ready to go back inside and give up, but then she remembered her mother's words. "You have such a big heart." She thought about how Rosa sacrificed every day for her. Mia wiped her tears and took a deep breath. She would not quit. If the letter failed, she would try something else. But for now, she would wait one more day. That night, Mia could not sleep. In the dark, she pictured her mother's smile, the way it lit up her tired eyes. She pictured the laughter they might share if her wish came true.
Ow.
She pictured John Anderson, arriving with a gentle voice and a kind smile, taking Rosa's hand. The image felt real. Mia closed her eyes, held on to it, and drifted into a restless sleep. The next morning, the sky was pale gray and the air smelled like rain. Mia walked to school, carrying her backpack and her hope. In class, she found it hard to focus on math problems. She tried to count numbers, but her mind drifted to thoughts of the letter, the foundation office, and the chance that kindness still existed in the world. After school, Mia retraced her steps to the foundation. She clutched her notebook, ready to write another letter if needed. When she reached the brick building, she saw the receptionist standing outside holding an envelope. Her face brightened when she spotted Mia. "Are you Mia Rivera?" Called. Mia's heart pounded as she ran up. The receptionist handed her the envelope. Mia stared at it for a long moment. It was heavy and thick, with her name written in neat letters. She turned it over, but there was no sender's name. Trembling fingers, she opened it. Inside, a single sheet of paper read, "Dear Mia, I would be honored to join you and your mother on Mother's Day. Please bring her to the foundation office at noon the day before. John Anderson." Mia's eyes widened so fast she thought they might pop out. She let out a small cry and clutched the letter to her chest. The receptionist smiled. "He asked to meet your mother before the party? It's in the spirit of family." Tears rolled down Mia's cheeks as relief and joy washed over her. She nodded and ran home as fast as she could. Bursting through the door, Mia found Rosa folding laundry. She dropped the letter on the table and grabbed her mother for a hug. "He said yes. He said yes," Mia cried. Rosa's face turned pale, then broke into a radiant smile. She scooped Mia up and spun her around. "Oh, Mia, this is more than I ever dreamed." Rosa pressed the letter to her heart and then pulled Mia close. The two of them stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, knowing that this Mother's Day would be unlike any other. In that small apartment, hope had arrived in an envelope, and Mia's faith and kindness had become real. The morning sun felt warm on Mia's face as she and her mother walked up the smooth stone steps of the Anderson Family Trust building. Rosa clutched Mia's hand tightly. Her heart beat fast, like a bird fluttering in its cage. Wore her best dress, a soft blue that brought out the gentle kindness in her eyes. Mia wore a neat skirt and blouse, her hair tied back with a ribbon. They looked like the perfect little family as they approached the tall glass doors. Inside, the lobby was quiet. A wide marble floor gleamed beneath their feet. Potted plants stood at each corner, their green leaves reaching toward the ceiling. A single receptionist sat at a desk of dark wood. Her smile was calm but not cold. She rose when she saw Rosa and Mia and said, "Mrs. Rivera? Mr. Anderson is ready for you now?" Her voice was soft, and it made Rosa's chest tighten. Mia squeezed her mother's hand. "It's going to be okay," she whispered. Rosa nodded, but her eyes held worry. She had never met a billionaire before. She had never even been inside a building so grand. She wondered if this man would be kind or if he would think it was all a foolish stunt. But she trusted Mia, and she trusted the stranger's promise. They followed the receptionist down a long hallway. Pictures lined the walls, black and white. Photographs of smiling families, children in playgrounds, volunteers handing out books and computers. Every image spoke of giving, of second chances, of kindness. At the end of the hall, they reached a pair of heavy wooden doors. The receptionist knocked once, paused, then opened them. Inside, John Anderson stood by a large window. He looked out at the city below, but his tall frame was relaxed. He wore a simple polo shirt and slacks clothes, more comfortable than most billionaires would choose. When he heard the door, he turned. His eyes were warm and curious. Rosa felt her breath catch. "Mrs. Rivera," he said, his voice gentle. "Mia," he held out his hand. Rosa hesitated only for a moment before she stepped forward and placed her hand in his. His grip was firm but kind. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Please have a seat." Rosa and Mia sat on a leather couch. Behind them, a large wooden desk held a single vase of white lilies. The room smelled faintly of fresh flowers and polished wood. John Anderson offered them water and coffee. Rosa took a deep breath and accepted a cup. Mia sat close by, her eyes bright with hope. "I read your letter," John said, as he settled into a chair across from them. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. Your words were honest, and they moved me." He paused, choosing each word. "I lost my own mother when I was young. My father was never there for us. I know what it is to sit at a table all alone." Rosa's hand tightened around her coffee cup. She looked at Mia, whose eyes were wide. No one had ever understood her mother's sadness so deeply. John continued, "After my mother passed, I threw myself into work. I built companies, made money, but that did not fill the empty spaces in my heart." He gave a small, sad smile. "Today, I want to help. I want to be the dad you asked for, even if just for one day." Mia felt tears spring to her eyes. She looked at her mother. Rosa's cheeks glowed with hope and relief. John reached into a drawer of his desk and pulled out a small box. He opened it to reveal a simple silver necklace with a heart-shaped locket. "For your mother," he said softly. "Something to remember this day by. And inside, I've put a picture of you too." He handed the box to Rosa. Rosa raised a hand to her mouth. Tears fell down her cheeks. She opened the locket and saw a tiny photograph of herself and Mia on a bright summer day, Mia's arms wrapped around her mother's neck, both smiling. Rosa looked up at John. "How did you?" she began, but Mia nudged her mother gently. "Thank you," Mia said in a small voice. "This means so much." John smiled at Mia, then turned back to Rosa. "Tomorrow, we'll join your Mother's Day party," he said. "I'll arrive with flowers and a few surprises. I want your mother to feel truly celebrated." Rosa managed to nod. She lifted the locket to her lips and pressed a kiss to it. "I don't know how to say thank you," she whispered. John stood and offered his hand again. Rosa took it, then stood slowly. Mia stood too, and they both hugged John. He held them. Gently, like precious treasures he would protect. After a moment, John released them. "I'll see you tomorrow at the party," he said. "You'll know me by the red roses I carry." He turned toward his desk and pressed a button. The receptionist appeared in the doorway. "Please walk them to the exit," John said. As they left, Mia looked back and saw John standing by the window again, watching them go. She waved and he nodded. Outside, the sun had shifted in the sky. The air felt lighter, full of promise. Walking home, Mia and Rosa talked quietly. Rosa whispered, "I feel like I'm dreaming." Mia grinned. "It's real. He wants to help." Rosa took Mia's hand. "I don't know what to say," she repeated. Mia shook her head. "Hey, you don't have to say anything. Just enjoy tomorrow." That night, Mia could not sleep. She lay in bed, thinking of how John Anderson had understood her mother's pain so well. She thought of the silver locket and how it would rest against her mother's heart. She imagined the party the next day, pink and white balloons, tables of homemade cakes, neighbors clapping as John walked in with a big bouquet of red roses. Morning came and brought a soft rain. Mia woke early to prepare. She helped her mother bake a small cake, nothing fancy, just a simple vanilla cake with strawberries on top, Rosa's favorite. They decorated a few paper hearts with messages. "To the best mom, thank you for everything. We love you," Mia practiced. Standing tall, imagining herself introducing John Anderson to the crowd. At noon, the small community center hall was ready. Tables covered in white cloth held trays of sandwiches, fruit, and homemade cookies. Pink and white streamers hung from the ceiling. Single sign said, "Happy Mother's Day, Mrs. Rivera." In neat letters, neighbors, friends, and even a few reporters gathered, curious to see the mysterious guest. Rosa stood beside Mia at the front of the hall. Her heart pounded as she saw people whispering and pointing. Mia placed her hand on her mother's shoulder. "Remember he said red roses?" Rosa nodded, her eyes bright with tears. Then the doors opened. John Anderson entered, carrying a huge bouquet of red roses. He wore a simple shirt. In jeans, a warm smile on his face. The hall fell silent. Rosa gasped, and Mia beamed. John walked straight to them, his presence calm and kind. He knelt before Rosa and handed her the roses. "Happy Mother's Day," he said softly. "You are a wonderful mother, and I am honored to be here." Rosa and Mia both cried as John stood and took Rosa's hand. The crowd cheered and clapped. Cameras flashed, and phones rose to record the moment. I spoke into a borrowed microphone. "Thank you all for coming. Today is about love and family. Rosa, thank you for inviting me into your life." May turn to Rosa and Mia. May this be the first of many happy memories. As he spoke, Mia saw her mother's face light up with joy and surprise. Neighbors hugged Rosa and Mia, offering congratulations. Reporters asked questions, but Rosa and John answered simply, smiling. Mia felt a glow in her chest, warm, bright glow that said kindness truly could change lives. After the speech, John mingled with the guests, laughing with children and Aldello, and Aldello, and Aldello, and Aldello, and Ello said Palello. Mia felt a glow in her chesses. Yeah, Ello said bello. It had quarter to have an Ello upper set, combishit. Sharing stories with the elderly, he sat at Rosé's table and tasted the cake Mia had baked. "Delicious," he said with a happy smile. He opened the locket around Rosé's neck and admired the tiny photo. "I'll keep this close," he said. By the end of the celebration, the rain had stopped and a rainbow arched across the sky. Rosa hugged Mia tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for everything." Mia hugged her back, tears of happiness on her cheeks. John Anderson stood nearby, watching them with a gentle smile. Then he approached Rosa and Mia once more. "This doesn't have to end today," he said. "Family is more than one day a year. I hope we can share many more days together." Rosa looked at him, her eyes shining with hope. Mia squeezed her mother's hand. In that moment, Mia knew that this was more than a pretend day. It was real. Kindness, real care, and the start of a new story for their little family. And it all began because a poor girl had dared to wish. For a miracle land found one in a billionaire's fast and generous reply. The days after the big Mother's Day celebration felt like a gentle sunrise over a quiet town. Mia woke each morning to sunlight spilling through the curtains, and she hurried to the living room window to see if John Anderson's sleek black Car was parked in the driveway. Most days it was. John had kept his promise. He visited Rosa and Mia often. Sometimes he brought fresh lemonade and cookies. Other times he brought board games or books he thought Mia would like. Rosa greeted him with a warm hug each time, and Mia felt a thrill when she heard his kind voice calling them my family. At school, Mia felt like a new person. Classmates who once whispered behind her back now approached her with wide eyes. "Is it true?" they asked. "Did a billionaire really come to your party?" Mia smiled and shrugged. She told simple truths. Yes, he came. Yes, he brought roses. Yes, it felt like magic. But she also said the important part. He was kind, and he cared about her mother. That answer seemed to surprise everyone more than the money or the mansion. They pressed closer, asking about details. Mia shared stories of John laughing over cookies and of the silver locket that hung around Rosa's neck. Each retelling warmed her, reminding her how one brave wish had changed her life. News of John's generous act spread beyond the school. A local newspaper ran a short article about the billionaire who became a daughter's hero. The headline featured a photo of Rosa and Mia hugging John in the sunny hall of the community center. On TV, a morning show host called Rosa an inspiring mother who never gave up. Reporters came to their apartment to ask questions. Mia felt nervous at first, but Rosa stood strong beside her. She held Mia's hand and answered gently, telling the reporters that all she wanted was a moment of happiness with her daughter. After each interview, neighbors stopped by with casseroles or flowers. Some brought little gifts for Mia, a new notebook, a toy car, or a pair of bright socks. Each gift carried a note. Keep dreaming, or you deserve joy. In the midst of all this attention, Rosa struggled with mixed feelings. She was grateful, yes, but she worried about depending too much on John. She remembered the nights she lay awake, doubting herself as a mother because she had no husband. Now she doubted because she had a billionaire. She wondered if her daughter would think she was weak for needing help. When she shared these worries with Mia, the little girl squeezed her hand.
Wow. We want the war away and the war, the war, the war, the war.
We're just lucky. Rosa smiled at the innocent wisdom, her heart lightening a bit. John noticed Rosa's worry one afternoon when he arrived with 2 cups of hot cocoa. They sat on the small balcony outside the apartment, overlooking the quiet street below. Rosa sipped her cocoa and watched Mia chase butterflies in the small front garden. John placed his cup on the railing and spoke softly. "You've built something stronger than any business," he said. "You've built love and hope in this home." Rosa looked at him, surprise and gratitude in her eyes. "You make me feel like I'm enough," she whispered. John reached out and held her hand. "You are more than enough," he said. Meanwhile, Mia spent her free afternoons at the local library, reading stories about families, adventures, and distant lands. She tucked notes into her books. "Dear John, thank you for believing in us." Some notes she slipped into the pages before John came. He found them later and smiled, his eyes misting. Other notes she kept private as a way to remind herself that her wishes mattered. One morning, a letter arrived for Rosa and Mia. It bore John's familiar handwriting. Inside was an invitation to a spring picnic at the Anderson estate. He wrote that he wanted to share a day outdoors with them and a few other families who could use a bit of sunshine and laughter. Rosa's first instinct was to refuse. She worried about stepping into a world of wealth and formality. But Mia begged. She pictured the gardens she had seen in pictures. Fields of flowers, fountains dancing in the sunlight. She imagined running barefoot on the grass. Rosa agreed, and together they prepared for the picnic. On the day of the picnic, John's chauffeur drove them up the winding hill to the estate. The road curved past tall trees and bright flower beds. When they arrived, the gates opened onto a wide lawn dotted with picnic blankets. John greeted them at the entrance, dressed in a simple sweater and jeans. He bent down to hug Mia and gave Rosa a gentle kiss on the cheek. "Welcome," he said. "Today is for laughter." Families wandered through the gardens, talking and playing games. Children chased each other around a fountain shaped like a golden swan. Rosa and Mia sat on a blanket laden with fresh fruit, sandwiches, and flower-shaped cookies. John joined them, pulling a small wooden box from his pocket. Inside were colorful glass stones. "For making wishes," he explained. "Pick a stone, make a wish, and toss it into the fountain." Mia chose a bright blue stone. She closed her eyes, whispered, "A wish for her mother's happiness," and waited as the stone made a soft splash. Then she watched the ripples spread until they reached the edges of the fountain. As the sun dipped lower, John called everyone together for a surprise. A local children's choir had come to sing, their voices lifted in gentle songs about hope, love, and new beginnings. Rosa held Mia close and let the music wash over her. Tears slid down her cheeks, not of sadness, but of deep joy. She looked at John, standing beside her, smiling as the choir sang. In that moment, she knew this new chapter was more than a momentary gift. It was a journey they would travel together. After the picnic, on the drive home, Rosa turned to Mia in the back seat. "Today was perfect," she said softly. Mia nodded, her eyes heavy with sleep. "I'm tired," she murmured. Rosa laughed and kissed her forehead. "Let's rest and dream of tomorrow." In the quiet days that followed, life found a comforting rhythm. John still came often, but now he sometimes brought friends from his company to help paint Mia's bedroom in soft pastel colors. Other times he arranged for Rosa to attend free cooking classes or book clubs, encouraged Rosa to follow her own dreams, perhaps starting a small home bakery or teaching art to neighborhood kids. Each suggestion came with gentle support, never pressure. Mia flourished in school. Her grades improved as she felt more confident. She joined the art club and sketched scenes of her family, them under a tree, them by a fountain, them holding hands at the top of a hill. She left some drawings on John's desk at the foundation office. He displayed them on his wall, small bursts of color in his otherwise minimalist space. As summer approached, John asked Rosa and Mia to help him plan another event, a charity fair to raise funds for families like theirs. Rosa hesitated, but Mia's eyes sparkled. "We can show them that kindness grows," Mia said. Rosa agreed, and together with John they organized a day of games, food stalls, and art exhibits. The fair brought the community together, and at the end of the day everyone felt a little closer, a little kinder. One evening, as Rosa tucked Mia into bed, she said, "Do you remember the first day you asked for a father on Mother's Day?" Mia grinned and nodded. "I do." Rosa kissed her softly. "You taught me that it's okay to ask for help, and that miracles can happen when you believe." Mia yawned and closed her eyes. "I just wanted you to be happy." Rosa turned off the light and whispered, "You made me more than happy. You made me brave." Downstairs, John sat at the kitchen table, reviewing plans for the charity fair. On the wall behind him hung Mia's drawings and the photo of Rosa and Mia hugging him at the Mother's Day party. He touched the picture gently and smiled. That moment he knew this was more than a one-day miracle. It was the start of something real and lasting. And it all began when a poor girl dared to dream big and reminded a lonely billionaire how to care again. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, but Rosa felt a chill in her heart. She sat at the kitchen table with a letter in front of her, her hand trembling. The envelope looked official, stamped with a law firm's logo. Mia bounded down the stairs, humming a tune, carrying 2 mugs of cocoa. "Mama, look," she said, offering Rosa a cup. Rosa sighed and accepted it, her eyes still on the letter. She felt a knot tighten in her chest. She knew something had changed. Mia nudged her mother. "What is it?" she asked, concern in her voice. Rosa tried to smile. "Nothing, sweetheart." But her voice faltered. Mia set down her cocoa and sat beside her. "Did someone write to you?" she pressed. Rosa unfolded the letter and read aloud. "We represent Mr. David Collins, who asserts paternity of your daughter." Rosa's voice shook. She looked at Mia, whose eyes grew wide. The words felt like a storm breaking in their calm world. Rosa closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and gathered herself. "This says someone claims to be your father," she told. Mia softly. Mia's face fell. "But I thought my father was gone forever," she whispered. Rosa reached out and held her daughter's hands. "I know, sweetheart. This is unexpected." They sat together, the morning light bright around them, while fear and doubt filled their minds. Rosa wondered if their new life with John would crumble under this claim. That afternoon, Rosa called John. Her voice trembled as she explained the letter. John listened quietly, his tone calm. "It may be a scam," he said, "or someone seeking money." He paused. "I will talk to my lawyer friend. We'll find out the truth." Rosa felt relief at his steady voice. "Thank you," she said. "I don't know what to do." John offered comfort. "We will face this together, Rosa. You and me are not alone." His words warmed her heart. Over the next days, Rosa tried to focus on normal life. She baked cookies with Mia, helped her with homework, and took evening walks. Every time the doorbell rang, her heart jumped. Newspapers delivered at the door made her wonder if the story would appear in print. One evening, neighbors whispered as they passed their apartment. Rosa overheard, "Did you hear about the paternity case?" She returned home that night with tired eyes, unsteady steps. Mia hugged her. "Mama, it will be okay," the little girl said, her voice brave. John arranged a meeting with the law firm's representative. Rosa and Mia sat in a small office, heartbeats echoing in their ears. Across the table, a serious-looking lawyer slid a manila folder toward them. "Mr. Collins demands a DNA test," the lawyer said. Rosa swallowed hard. "Why now?" she asked. The lawyer shrugged. "He discovered paperwork that says he might be your ex-Mia's biological father." Rosa's mind swirled. She remembered a man from long ago, but she had no proof. She looked at Mia, who pressed her hand. John stepped in then, his presence calm and firm. He placed a reassuring hand on Rosa's shoulder. "We will do whatever is needed to clear this up," he said. He turned to the lawyer. "We accept the test. Let's resolve this quickly." The lawyer nodded. Rosa felt gratitude and relief wash over her. John's confidence made her feel safe. She squeezed his hand. Mia sat quietly, trusting John as if he were truly her father. The next day, a technician came to collect samples for the DNA test. Mia sat on John's lap, clutching her favorite teddy bear. John whispered, encouraging words, rubbing her back. "You are strong," he told her. Rosa watched from nearby, tears in her eyes. She saw how John cared for Mia, how he held her and protected her. In that moment, Rosa realized that family was more than biology. It was love, trust, and kindness. While they waited for the results, rumors spread online. Some people questioned John's motives. Others urged caution, saying it was a publicity stunt. Rosa read hurtful comments, then closed her laptop, stepped outside and took a deep breath. The air smelled of rain. She closed her eyes and thought of John's kindness, the roses, the picnic, the charity fair. She thought of Mia's laughter. She reminded herself that their bond was real, no matter what rumors flew. Mia tried to distract herself by drawing pictures of their happy times. She sketched John handing Mom roses, picnics by the fountain, family hugs. She brought her drawings to Rosa. "These are our memories," she said shyly. "Hush." Rosa smiled and kissed her daughter's forehead. "Yes, love, and they are safe in our hearts." They taped the drawings on the wall. Each picture reminded them of joy and hope, even in uncertain times. Finally, the day arrived when the DNA results came in. Rosa held the envelope in her hand, feeling the weight of so many emotions. John sat beside her and Mia stood close, clutching her mother's leg. Rosa opened the letter and read, "No genetic match found," she gasped, tears springing to her eyes. She looked at Mia and then at John. "It's not him," she whispered. Relief and happiness flooded her. Mia threw her arms around Rosa. "We're safe!" she cried. "You always were," he said. Softly, he helped Rosa stand. She nodded, her tears sparkling. "Thank you," she said to John. He kissed her forehead gently. "I will always be here," he promised. Mia looked up at him with a bright smile. "My real dad," she said. John laughed, a warm and happy sound. "Yes, Mia, I am your real dad." In the weeks that followed, the rumors faded away. The charity fair and Mother's Day story became warm memories rather than headlines. Rosa, Mia, and John returned to their gentle routine, baking, playing games, planning events. The DNA test incident became a story of truth and trust, something they overcame as a family. Each moment together felt sweeter, for they knew they had faced fear and doubt and come through stronger. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange, Rosa and Mia sat on the balcony with John. They shared hot cocoa and watched the sky. Mia leaned against John, her eyes heavy with sleep. Rosa wrapped her arm around both of them. She felt gratitude, so deep it filled her whole being. She whispered to John, "You saved us." He kissed her hand. "No, you saved yourselves," he said. "You believed in each other." Mia yawned and closed her eyes. Rosa carried her inside and laid her in bed. She kissed Mia's forehead, then turned to John. "Thank you," she said again, her voice full of love. John smiled and took her. Hande stood in the soft glow of the lamp and looked at the family photos on the wall, images of laughter, roses, picnics, and warm embraces. Each photo told a part of their story. A poor girl's brave wish, a billionaire's fast reply, and a family's journey through doubt to lasting love. And they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together because they were real family now. ChatGPT said, "The morning light peeked through the curtains, painting soft gold stripes on the carpet." Mia stirred in her bed, hugging her favorite teddy bear. Today was special. It felt different from other days, like the world held its breath. For a moment, she slid out of bed, tied her hair with a ribbon, and tiptoed into the living room. There, she found her mother, and John seated at the small kitchen table, Rosa with a plate of heart-shaped pancakes, and John pouring fresh orange juice into 3 glasses. "Good morning," John said with a warm smile. "Happy Mother's Day, eh? Whole week of it starts today." He winked at Mia, and she giggled. Rosa's eyes shone as she hugged Mia tight. "I love you both so much," she whispered. They ate the pancakes, sweet and fluffy, decorated with strawberries that Rosa had cut into tiny hearts. Mia listened to John and her mother talk about the plans for the day. John had arranged a special surprise, a garden party in their own backyard, with neighbors invited, music, games, and lots of flowers. Mia's heart fluttered with excitement. She imagined the backyard transformed into a festival of color and laughter. After breakfast, they worked together to set up. John climbed a ladder to string fairy lights across the trees. Rosa hung paper, lanterns, and fresh flower garlands that she and Mia had made. Mia arranged small potted plants along the walkway, each labeled with Mom's Garden in bright letters. Children from next door arrived to help. They carried balloons, set up folding chairs, and placed baskets of cookies on each table. The air was warm, and the scent of roses mingled with laughter. By mid-afternoon, the backyard looked like a dream. A gentle breeze stirred the lanterns, making them sway like colorful bubbles. Music played softly from speakers hidden among the bush songs about friendship, love, and new beginnings. Neighbors, friends, and a few colleagues of John's arrived, carrying dishes, salads in bright bowls, homemade pies, and pitchers of lemonade. Everyone greeted Rosa with hugs and smiles, eager to celebrate the woman who had inspired them with her strength. Mia led a small group of children in a game of pin the heart on the mother. They closed their eyes and tried to place paper, hearts on a poster of Rosa. Laughter erupted when hearts landed on her shoes, her hat, or even John's shoulder. Rosa laughed too, clapping her hands and guiding the blindfolded players. John knelt beside her, whispering clues and cheering on the children. Later, John called for everyone's attention. He held up a small wooden box one that matched the garden stones they had made at the picnic. Inside were little notes written by neighbors, friends, and even strangers who had heard their story. Each note said something like, "Thank you for inspiring me. Your love is a gift." Or, "May your heart be full always." John invited Rosa to read them aloud. She pulled out note after note, her voice growing stronger with each one, her eyes bright with gratitude. Mia watched her mother glow, feeling proud and happy. When the notes were done, John stood and raised his glass. "To Rosa," he began, his voice warm and steady. "A woman whose kindness shines, whose love grows every day, and whose courage taught us all the power of hope." He nodded to the crowd. "Thank you for being part of this celebration." Glasses clinked, and everyone took a sip of lemonade, honoring Rosa and the journey that had brought them together. After the toast, Rosa and John surprised Mia with a special gift, a wooden birdhouse they had painted together at the picnic. It was decorated with bright flowers and had a tiny heart above the entrance. "For your garden," Rosa said, placing it on a post near the bird feeders, "so that every time a bird comes, you'll remember how much you are loved." Mia's eyes filled with tears of joy. She hugged her mother and John, then gave the birdhouse a gentle tap, as if telling birds, "Come home, you are welcome." Here, as the sun began to dip low, the garden party turned gentle and warm. Children chased fireflies among the flowers. Neighbors sat on blankets and shared stories softly. Someone brought out a guitar and played a lullaby that made everyone smile. John found Rosa and Miami sitting together on a bench under the magnolia tree, knelt in front of them, and handed Rosa an envelope. "One more surprise," he said. Rosa opened the envelope and pulled out 2 plane tickets. Inside was a note in John's handwriting. "For a mother and daughter adventure. Let's make new memories together." Rosa read the note slowly, her breath catching. Mia leaned forward, peering over her mother's shoulder. "Where are we going?" Mia whispered. Rosa looked at John, her eyes wide. "Anywhere you want," he said. He smiled. "You choose." Rosa hugged both of them tightly. "Can't believe this," she whispered. Mia sat quietly, thinking of the places she had only read about in books, tropical islands with blue waters, mountains with snow-capped peaks, cities with bright lights. She looked at her mother and then at John. "I want to go to the ocean," she said softly, "to feel the sand and hear the waves." John's face lit up. "And the ocean it is." Rosa hugged Mia and John again, tears sparkling in her eyes. The party wound down as the sky turned pink and purple. The fairy lights glowed like stars among the trees. Everyone hugged Rosa and Mia and said goodnight. Neighbors carried leftovers and promised visits soon. Mia helped collect empty cups and plates, smiling as she finished the last task. When the last guest had left, the 3 of them stood together in the quiet garden, surrounded by lanterns, flowers, and the soft echo of laughter. Rosa took John's hand and then placed her other hand on Mia's shoulder. "Thank you," she said to each of them. Her voice trembled with emotion. "For my Mother's Day, for my new family, for my new home." John kissed her forehead. "You are the heart of this family," he said. Mia wrapped her arms around both of them. "I love you, Mama. I love you, Dad." John smiled, tears shining in his eyes. "I love you too, Mia." Later, as they cleaned up together, Mia found the garden stone painted with her wish from the first picnic, "Happiness for Mama." She held it close, remembering how lonely she had felt and how brave she had been to ask for help. Now, she was surrounded by love, laughter, and promise. She placed the stone in a special spot near the birdhouse. That night, Rosa tucked Mia into bed. She brushed back her daughter's hair and kissed her forehead. "Sleep well, my brave girl," she whispered. Mia yawned. "Thank you for everything," she murmured. Rosa leaned and kissed her again. "No, my love. Thank you for teaching me that kindness can make dreams come true." Mia smiled and closed her eyes. Downstairs, John sat at the kitchen table with a notebook. He wrote down plans for their trip to the ocean. He sketched ideas for a family journal, a place to record stories, drawings, and memories. He paused and looked at the framed photo on the wall, the 3 of them at the Mother's Day party. surrounded by roses and smiling faces. He whispered, "This is just the beginning." In the quiet of the night, the glass mansion on the hill stood bathed in moonlight. Inside, lights glowed in the windows of the trust building where the photograph still hung. In the small apartment below, a mother and daughter slept peacefully. And in a world that often seemed too busy for miracles, 3 hearts beat as one proof that hope, courage, and kindness could bring a family together. And so their real-life story lived on, part of something bigger than any one day, growing with every sunrise, blooming with each act of love.